Alberto Del Rio and Penta have been involved in an alleged shoot fight. We've got the real reason Charlotte Flair's been drafted to SmackDown, and WWE are facing a new lawsuit. Stay tuned. So, a bit of a rough one to kick off with, involving Alberto Del Rio again, unfortunately. Outside a BRB show, Saltillomania, there was an alleged shoot fight, bit of an altercation. Videos have started surfacing online now. This happened a little bit earlier this week, but we know a touch more about it at this point. Sam's got Google Translate out and done the hard work. So what exactly went down?
Digging. So Saltillomania, the last few years they've ran it, it's kind of been a partnership show with AAA. It wasn't quite branded up this time, but there was Diamante Azul, or now DMT Azul, who is now AAA. You've got Andrade there. You've got kind of people who are in and around it, so bigger names. But they were supposed to be in a tag match, and I think one of the main events. So it was going to be Penta and Alberto facing off against Diamante Azul, or DMT Azul, sorry, and Andrade. And it was just going to be that, and it somehow, I got onto Google Translate, found local press, there was like one report about it. It turned into a fatal four-way instead, so there was kind of like a big fight between all of them. But, you know, apparently, other than that, strong night of lucha. But then fan footage, as you said, has come out. But it's kind of as Penta's making his way around past fans and high-fiving. And then you kind of see from the first angle that was out is just Del Rio kind of throwing some security staff and shouting and back and forth between him and Penta. And then it was kind of a bit, ooh, okay, like something's gone on here. Another angle has come out, which is sort of from above, with a guy floating, like he's just recording in selfie mode, just going, and it's this wrestler, and this entire thing's just happening with his eyes, like, yeah, it's great. But I
saw drinks getting thrown and stuff. It didn't look like they traded blows, but it looked like they were pretty damn close if they hadn't been held back.
So there was a shove. So you can see this shove from the other angle. And initially it's kind of like, ooh, and then the more you start to look at it though, the more it's like, well, is this just a big work? Is it shoot or is it a work? Are we being worked here? Like, what's happening? So Del Rio kind of grabs a couple of security guards. He's throwing them in front like you would when you want to cause a big scene. You know, when he shoves him, it's kind of, when you look right into it, it's kind of lighter than you'd think. It's really just sort of a tap, but from the other angle, it looked a bit more aggressive. There was kind of some back and forth going on. And apparently, well, according to Staunchy Prince of Lies on Reddit, thank you very much for translating what was said, Penta was yelling to Alberto to stop what he was doing and leave, but apparently in like a manner that a bouncer would say to somebody you really want to get out of a pub. Like, kind of just get out, like, really sort of directly. But yeah, as I said, the other angle, it does feel a little bit more worky because you do see Del Rio kind of grabbing people and shoving them in front of him and putting that space between. And ultimately, I think, for me, I don't know, like, Del Rio did MMA, right? Surely if he's going to be in and maybe because it was in front of fans, it didn't going to go that far.
It pains me to say it, but I think he could probably batter Penta, to be honest.
But it's one of those things where, like, he then went onto Twitter afterwards with a couple of people, and he shared, like, kind of quote retweeted the footage of it, and he was like, oh, he's just upset because I hit too hard, and then he called his fans and his, like, community, where he's from, bland and soft. Again, thanks to Staunchy for that. So it could have been real, it could have been a shoot, but it could have also been real, and it's now turned into, you know, a work, essentially.
So it sounds like Penta was upset that Alberto was throwing potatoes. He was too stiff with him, and that's where it's all. That's where
it seems. But at the same time, we've got that kind of the Twitter promo, even though it's not a promo. Like he wrote a message on Twitter about it. But the fact he's kind of gone in on Penta for not being, you know, like man enough to take his strikes, and you know where he's from, all the people there are like losers and all this stuff. It feels like whatever it was might have been a quick moment, maybe a crossed wire, and it's been squashed because apparently in real life they're actually quite close. You know, they're quite like, I think they worked a lot on the scene together. So I think they're
very familiar with each other.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep you updated on any developments on that. Obviously, it's not the first time that Alberto's
Lucha looks wild though. This show looks crazy. I really want to check it out.
That I think summed it up really nicely. It's like the great thing about Lucha is that anyone can get booked. Yeah. The worst thing about Lucha is that anyone can get booked. Right? You know what? I didn't even know that he was still wrestling.
No, apparently there are a number of US companies still interested in him as well. I was seeing that getting thrown around.
If they think they can make money, hey, he's a former WWE champion.
Yeah.
He was a big name, but well, he's an awful human being.
Yes.
Moving on, we got the reason that Charlotte Flair was drafted to SmackDown last night. Obviously, she is still the Raw Women's Champion at this point. A new report from Wrestling Inc. stating that several Fox officials specifically asked to have Charlotte become a member of the Blue Brand in the draft, and WWE officials agreed to it.
Well,
which is, I don't know, I like the quality of wrestling's always great with Charlotte. Yeah. That reception that she got yesterday, she got booed hard, and people are fed up with her.
I think the thing with Charlotte is it's getting almost a little bit Roman-y, like how that was. It feels very definite whenever Charlotte's wrestling. You can kind of call it ahead of time in your head. You're like, yeah, she's going over, she's going to take the title, this is going to happen. And while it's great, and it's lending huge numbers to her legacy and all of the titles she's holding and all of this, it does feel a little bit like we're trotting just over the same path. And that Charlotte is somebody who is capable of entertaining. So it just needs that bit of shaking up, doesn't it? Because Charlotte is capable of putting on fantastic matches. She can cut a good promo.
One of the best in the world, if not the best. She's incredible. I think she's really amazing. It's the booking. It just needs a bit of
freshening up.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get that on SmackDown. But I think she'll be involved in the women's title picture almost exclusively for years to come. That's what they want to do with her. It plays into her character as well.
She's a Flair, right? I mean,
yeah, she's a Flair. Next up, WWE being hit with a lawsuit over WWE Network technology. I'm really glad I'm doing this news video with you, Sam, because I don't understand a piss and word of this. So the suit's being raised by Ceto Mobile.
Yes.
And both the company and their research and development wing. And the filing alleges that WWE owns, controls, operates, and uses a system planned for streaming media, but doesn't have the rights to use a system they patented. This is nothing to do with Peacock, nothing like that.
Yes,
this is the WWE Network that's been around for
I'll address
donkeys.
Peacock at the end, but this is the base as Adam's just said, it's the base network. The first one that we all had and the one we've still got over here in Europe. So
you can still get on a VPN.
Or if you can get on a VPN. But it basically PW Insider, as you said, have broken this news that Ceto Mobile feel that WWE are infringing on their patent, not even copyright. So this is serious. And essentially, you've got. When you look at infrastructure of something like a streaming service, you've got Netflix at home or Prime or something like that, right? You've got all of everything down to how the thumbnails are displayed, what happens when you open it, how long the logo sting is, how it plays back, what kind of bit rate, is it going to do 4K? How is it going to do the 4K if your internet's bad? Is it going to do it bit by bit? There's thousands of different ways you can implement technology in order to load videos. And I think Netflix actually, just on the point of the 4K thing, so I know that didn't make a lot of sense, I think they load your 4K films in minute by minute chunks, and so it's quicker to buffer, and it lines them all up for you. But you just see one long thing. But, so you've got all this stuff, and I guess that Ceto are alleging that WWE's network is built off the back of their patent, and without licensing, without permission. So
it's quite a big one.
Yeah, this they actually claim that it's being used without approval, authorization, and license. And the suit, as I said, is patent infringement, but it could have a massive knock-on effect if Ceto are successful in the case, as WWE is, one, going to have to probably pay out quite a considerate sum because they are alleging that that they're suffering irreparable harm and damages as a result, they've said, and they're going to continue to do so long as the network is ongoing.
And sorry, this is to do, my understanding from what you've just said, this is to do with the HTML5 player. When they upgraded from Flash to HTML5, they're using technology and code in that they don't have the rights to use.
Yeah, so it's just sort of the infrastructure of that, all the behind-the-scenes skeleton of what the network is, all the code and lines and lines and lines of it, and the way that it's all put together. And that's kind of how it'll be, really. If it's patent, it'll be like specific kind of innovations, won't it? Because that's why you patent things, because you've come up with it. So I think if we get that win from Cito, WWE's gonna have to pay out for one, probably all of the damages they've alleged. Two, they're gonna have to either reach a license and agreement or cease using the technology altogether. And if they have to cease using the technology altogether, then it's going to lead to a speeding up of the peacockification, like, of the network, and we're going to see So it'll be like all of a sudden, say Cito win, and they're like, you're not allowed to use it anymore. It might just wake up one morning, it'll be like WWE Network or BT Sports, or it could be anywhere. But they might have to, you know, find a new partner or go back to another method.
That makes sense. Sorry for laughing when you did lines and lines and lines. I thought you were doing a League of Gentlemen bit with, you know, lines and lines. Moving on, WWE considering some very, very big venues for the UK pay-per-view. Now, it's been reported that it looks like they're potentially heading over to Cardiff, right?
Yeah.
But from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, they've been told, not a done deal, but they're said to be looking at Wembley, which is a 90k capacity-ish, Old Trafford in Manchester, of course, the 74,000 or so, and the Principality Stadium.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not going to sell those out.
They'll sell out, I think.
Do you reckon?
An actual pay-per-view, and 90k, they'll start those cheap seats at like a 10 or 15 quid, 100%.
They don't tend to do cheapies in the UK. I would be surprised, just with the lack of interest in WWE at the moment. I'll go. Maybe I'd love to be proven wrong. I truly would.
We've got
That's
like
a big number.
The nostalgia of '92 as well, riding high still, of course, in this country. So we could do that. The only thing is that essentially they're apparently looking at just more international shows in general. So it could be that if it's not SummerSlam, because WWE is still very much hush-hush about all this and denying everything. But if it's not SummerSlam, it could just be, you know, like how we had Super Showdown, things like that. We get, you know, Crown Jewel, things like that. It could be like a British version of that, maybe, or a French or a German, or wherever they decide to go around the world. They'd kind of be doing similar to what they were already doing, but on more like take a huge venue and make a big deal out of it and market it as heavily as you can.
It's not just Vinnie Mac looking at potential UK shows. Tony the Tiger from AEW speaking on Busted Open Radio, hyping the potential of international travel being more viable next year, and his focus is on running an international tour in multiple cities. The quote is, "I do really want to do an international tour next year in 2022. I'm not sure if we'll hit a lot of different cities or if we'll focus the international trip primarily on Craven Cottage, the home of Fulham Football Club. The stadium is, of course, very near and dear to my heart." So it looks like we're going to get them both next year, which will be lovely. We are finishing off. 6 participants have been announced for the Dynamite Casino ladder match. There's also going to be a 7th entrant, of course, a Joker, which Tony Khan confirmed himself. The 6 confirmed are Pac, Andrade, Moxley, Lance Archer, Cassidy, and Matt Hardy.
I'm happy Matt Hardy's getting in and amongst something crazy.
One of the greatest ladder
exactly.
guys of all time.
It's just lovely, isn't it? It's nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. If I was picking one there, I reckon Andrade's going to get the rub there, you know?
Andrade would make a lot of sense. It'd be interesting to see. I don't think Matt Hardy's going to get it. Pac, maybe, but I want to know who the Joker is. People seem to think it could be Miro. People seem to think it could be Penta in his Joker attire because he's dressed like the Joker. There could be anybody. It could be like a legend from the 90s, right? Just coming back for a one-night thing. Like
Glacier back for more.
Or like
I would
like a Dudley boy or something like that. Like to go in with Matt, that could work.
Yeah,
or you know, you could do something like that.
Yeah. I think it should be really, really strong. I love the idea of Miedo being in that match.
Yeah, me too.
Because he's just dropped the mid-card belt, and just to get him up there, even if he doesn't win, which I don't think he would, I think that would be a cool thing for him to be.
Yeah.
Winning a big match like that and then going on to face the world title.
And it's always interesting having that dynamic with bigger guys in ladder matches, isn't it? Kind of the people you don't expect to be in the high-flying, daring spot fests. So
should be good. Should be good. That's it for today. What we got coming up this weekend? We got the big ranked coming up tomorrow. We got all the WWE tag team champions ranked from worst to best. So set aside a couple of hours for that. We got some lists going up as well. I'm back on Monday night for Raw draft reactions as well. If you want to check that out. Anything to plug, Samuel?
No, just make sure you check out.
Genesis.
I saw Genesis. Phil Collins a plug. He needs it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Genesis, great. They're still good. Still good. Go see them.
Lines and lines and lines.
Right. Lines and lines.
See you later. All the best.